People who aren't aliens, welcome back to the channel. Today, the FIFA World Cup 2026 group stage is reaching its final and most dramatic chapter. Matchday 3 is finally here, and for many nations, this is the last chance to keep their World Cup dreams alive. Today, we're breaking down 6 massive matches across Group D, E, and F. We'll be analyzing team strengths and weaknesses, what happens during match day 2, key players to watch, qualification scenarios, tactical battles, and of course our final score predictions at the end. Some teams are already close to qualification, others are hanging by a thread, and a few simply need a miracle. So let's begin with Group E. Our first match for Group E, we have Curaçao versus Ivory Coast. This is one of the most fascinating underdog stories of the tournament. Before the World Cup started, very few people expected Curaçao to compete at this level. Yet, here they are entering match day 3 with their qualification hopes still alive. Their match day 2 draw against Ecuador completely changed the mood around the squad. Instead of being viewed as the weakest team in the group, they've become one of the surprise packages of the tournament. However, there are still major concerns. Defensively, Curaçao remains vulnerable whenever opponents increase the tempo. And against Germany, they conceded 7 goals. That result exposed the gap between competing against elite nations and competing against teams around their own level. Their biggest strength is organization. They stay compact, they defend in numbers, and they look dangerous when attacking quickly after winning possession. The problem is squad depth. Over 90 minutes, stronger teams tend to wear them down. Now let's look at Ivory Coast. Despite losing to Germany, I actually think Ivory Coast comes into matchday 3 with plenty of confidence. Germany is one of the strongest teams in this entire tournament, and for long stretches, Ivory Coast made them uncomfortable. The midfield battle was competitive, the attack created opportunities, and they proved they belong on this stage. The key figure remains Franck Kessié. His leadership, physicality, and experience help stabilize the entire team. Around him, Ivory Coast possesses speed, athleticism, and tactical quality that Curaçao may struggle to contain. Technically, I expect Ivory Coast to dominate possession while Curaçao sits deeper and wait for counter-attacking opportunities. The longer Curaçao keeps the game level, the more pressure shifts into Ivory Coast. But eventually, I think the quality gap shows. Now we move on what could be the biggest match in Group E. Germany enters match day 3 looking like one of the strongest teams in the entire World Cup. Their rating in my system currently sits at a 90 out of 100. And honestly, they deserved it. They've shown consistency, they've shown adaptability, and they've shown the ability to win games in different ways. Against Ivory Coast, Germany fell behind. Many teams panicked in that situation. Germany didn't. Instead, they trusted their structure and eventually turned the game around. That's a sign of championship level team. The stars continue to shine is what they said. Jamal Musiala has been one of the best attacking midfielders in the tournament. And for disclosure, if I'm pronouncing these names wrong, I would like to apologize in advance. You can check the names in the description down below, where I'm putting every single name there so you guys can search it up by yourself. But let's head back in. We got players like Havertz continue creating dangerous movements. Deniz Undav has provided goals when needed, and the overall tactical system remains incredibly difficult to stop. However, Ecuador should not be underestimated. Their defensive structure remains one of the best outside the tournament favorites. The partnership between William Pancho and Piero Hincapi gives Ecuador a strong foundation. Meanwhile, Moises Caicedo continues to be the heart of the midfield. The problem for Ecuador is finishing. Too many opportunities have been wasted. The draw against Curaçao was incredibly damaging. A win there would have completely changed their qualification outlook. Instead, they now face one of the strongest teams in the competition. Technically, Ecuador's best chance is keeping the game compact and trying to frustrate Germany. If Germany scores early, things could get ugly really fast. But if Ecuador can survive the first hour, pressure may begin building on the Germans. Still, Germany remains the clear favorite out of them, I guess. But now we moved into Group F. And this is fascinating. This matchup between two very different football philosophies. Japan enters Matchday 3 with momentum. Their organization has once again impressed everyone. The Japanese national team continues to be one of the most disciplined sides in world of football. Every player understands their role, every player works for the team, and tactically they are extremely hard to break down. Takefusa Kubo, that's a name. Takefusa Kubo continues to provide creativity. Kaoru Mitoma remains dangerous whenever he gets isolated against defenders. And Wataru Endo gives the midfield balance and leadership. Japan's biggest strength is collective football. They're not dependent on one superstar. Instead, they win through teamwork, pressing, and intelligent movement. Sweden presents a completely different challenge. Physically, Sweden is one of the strongest teams in the group. Alexander Isak remains their biggest threat. His ability to score from limited opportunities means Sweden is never out of the game. However, there are concerns. The 5-1 defeat against the Netherlands exposed serious defensive weaknesses. Confidence may still be affected. And against a well-organized Japanese side, mental mistakes could be costly. The key tactical battle will be Sweden's physicality against Japan's technical quality. Can Sweden disrupt Japan's rhythm, or will Japan movement pull Sweden out of shape? This could easily become one of the closest matches of Matchday 3, depending on how you view it yourself. Next up, we have one of the most one-sided matches on paper, Tunisia versus the Netherlands. Now, football is unpredictable, and every World Cup produces surprises. But based on everything we've seen so far, the Dutch entered this match as massive favorites. Like literally everything is going with their side. So let's start with Tunisia. Tunisia's biggest strength throughout the tournament has been discipline. Pretty much every single team that has made it to the World Cup relies heavily on discipline. If not, they would have not made it. They remain organized defensively, they worked hard, and they rarely give opponents easy chances. The players continue to fight for every ball, every tackle, and every second of the match. The problem is what happens when they win possession. Too often, Tunisia struggles to turn defensive success into attacking opportunities. The creativity simply hasn't been there. Against elite teams, defending alone usually isn't enough. Eventually, you need goals, and goals have been difficult to find. That brings us to the Netherlands. The Dutch have been one of the most impressive teams in this World Cup. Their 5-1 destruction of Sweden sent a message to the entire tournament. This isn't just a talented team, this is a team playing with confidence. Every attack looks dangerous, every transition feels threatening. and their midfield continues to dominate opponents. Frenkie de Jong remains the conductor. His ability to control tempo and dedicate possession continue to become very difficult for Tunisia. However, Tunisia's best chance comes from frustration. If they can keep the game scoreless for an hour, pressure may begin building on the Dutch player, and that's pretty logical, I guess. The Netherlands know they are expected to win, like pretty much 90% everything is going to them, but sometimes those expectations can become a burden. Still, when comparing squad quality, depth, recent performances, and attacking firepower, the Dutch is simply better. They look too strong. The key question though isn't whether the Netherlands will create chances. The question is whether Tunisia can survive long enough to create an upset. Just like England versus Ghana. That was a pretty upset for me, to be honest. But let's move on. Now we move to what might be the most unpredictable game of Matchday 3. Paraguay versus Australia. These are two teams that have built their reputation on hard work, organization, and determination. Neither squad is filled with global superstars. Instead, they succeed through teamwork and discipline. Let's start with Paraguay. Paraguay enters this match knowing qualification remains possible, but their margin for error is almost gone. Their biggest strengths remain physicality and defensive structure. Paraguay loves making games uncomfortable. They fight for every challenge. They compete aggressively in the midfield. But I'm not really sure about that though. They're more like center backs. Their center backs fight more than the midfields. For me, I don't know about you guys though. And they're extremely dangerous from set pieces. The problem is creativity. When Paraguay falls behind, they sometimes struggle to break down organized defenses. Oh my god, I am so sorry, Austria. We're not talking about that. Australia faces similar challenges. The Socceroos continue to be one of the hardest working teams in international football. Every player understands their role. Every player contributes defensively. And the team rarely beats itself through careless mistakes. Their performance against the USA showed exactly why many people respect this Australian side. Even though, in my personal opinion, I think they were pissed off by the referees because they started pushing every single player they see defensively. They were kind of like playing rugby to me, but it's my opinion, guys. But I do want to hear about yours though, so you should definitely drop that in the comments down below. Even in defeat though, they remain organized and competitive. The issue remains attacking quality. Australia creates opportunities, but they sometimes lack the elite finishing needed to punish stronger opponents. Tactically, this match could become a midfield war. Lots of physical battles, lots of second balls, lots of challenges. Neither team will want to make the first mistake. That's why I expect a very close encounter. But there's a likely chance that one will dominate the other, but that is very, very small. One goal could completely change the entire game. They might just score a goal and then park the bus for the whole game, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, this feels like the type of match that could finish level after 90 minutes. But we'll see. After all, football is round. And now we arrive at one of the biggest games of Matchday 3. Turkey versus the United States. This match has everything. Quality players, qualification implications, different tactical styles, and potentially huge consequences for the knockout stage. But just to be ahead, Turkey, they're already disqualified. So I think the pressure on them is off. They could literally play with whatever style they want. So let's just begin with Turkey. The Turkish national team continues to be one of the most exciting young teams in international football. The biggest reason is Arda Güler. The Real Madrid star has become the symbol of Turkish football culture. Even though they failed on this World Cup, I think they could still put up a fight for this last World Cup game. His creativity, vision, technical ability allows Turkey to create opportunities against almost any defense. Alongside him, Hakan Çalhanoğlu provides leadership and experience. His passing range and ability to control tempo remains vital. When Turkey plays confidently, they're capable of competing with anyone. So I guess they haven't been competing confidently. However, there are still concerns. Defensively, they can be inconsistent. Sometimes they commit too many players forward. Sometimes they leave space behind the defensive line. Against weaker teams, those issues aren't always punished. Against stronger opponents, they become much more dangerous. So let's move on to the most surprising team of this World Cup. I'd say is the United States. So let's get right into it. Under Mauricio Pochettino, the Americans appear more organized than ever. The structure is clear, the pressing is coordinated, and the players understand exactly what is expected of them. One of the biggest positives has been the emergence of Ricardo Pepi. His finishing has improved significantly. Meanwhile, Folarin Balogun continues to stretch defenses with intelligent movement. The United States also possesses incredible athleticism. Across the entire squad, there is speed, energy, and physicality. Across almost everything, I guess, that makes them difficult to play against for 90 minutes. One concern is Christian Pulisic's fitness situation. If he's unavailable or limited, the United States loses one of its most creative players. Still, even without Pulisic at full strength, the Americans have shown they can win games. Tactically, this could become one of the most entertaining matches of Matchday 3. Turkey will look to control possession through technical quality. The United States will try to use athleticism and pressing to disrupt that rhythm. The midfield battle may decide everything. If Arda Güler finds space, Turkey becomes dangerous. If the Americans press, wins possession high up the pitch, they could create chances quickly. This feels like a match that could go either way. But based on recent form, momentum, and squad depth, the United States enters this match with a slight advantage, or people might say a huge advantage. So now we finally analyze all 6 Matchday 3 fixtures. Some groups are nearly decided, others remain completely open. So it's finally time for the predictions. We've analyzed all 6 matches. We've looked at the form, the strengths, the weaknesses, the key players, and the qualification scenarios. Now let's see how I think Matchday 3 will unfold. So let's start up with Group E, Curaçao versus Ivory Coast. I think Curaçao deserves enormous credit for what they've accomplished in this tournament. They've shown resilience, they've shown determination, and they've proven they belong on this stage. However, I believe Ivory Coast simply has more quality across the pitch. The athleticism, the midfield control, the attacking depth. Over 90 minutes, I think those advantages becomes too much for Curaçao to handle. So my prediction, I'd say Ivory Coast wins 2-0 against Curaçao. Now the goal scorers might come from Sébastien or Franck Kessié. I'd say my confidence in this prediction is an 8 out of 10. So let's move on to Ecuador versus Germany. This is one of the toughest matches of the day. Ecuador has the defensive structure to frustrate almost everyone, but Germany continues to look like a genuine title contender. The biggest difference is attacking quality. Germany creates more chances, Germany finishes more chances as well. And Germany has multiple players capable of deciding the game. I expect Ecuador to compete at least. I expect them to stay organized. But eventually, Germany's quality should shine through by, well, I guess like a lot, I guess. So my predictions, I'd have to go with Germany. It's a logical solution. Germany wins 3-1 against Ecuador. My goal scorer predictions, they might come from Enir Valencia or Jamal Musiala or Kai Havertz, and lastly, Deniz Undav. Either those goals might come from. My confidence in this prediction is quite high. I'd say it's an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. So let's move on to Japan versus Sweden, Group F. This might actually be the most underrated match of Matchday 3. Japan has been excellent throughout the tournament. Their organization is world class. Their transitions are dangerous. And tactically, they're one of the smartest teams here. If you've seen the memes where the coach pulls out the notebook and starts writing each player down, it's pretty much nostalgic at this point. Sorry, I'm losing my breath a little bit. Sweden has more quality. Cut. Okay. Sweden has quality, especially through Alexander Isak. But after conceding 5 goals against the Netherlands, confidence could be an issue. I think Sweden competes. I think they make this difficult, but Japan's structure gives them the edge. So my prediction, I'd have to go for Japan. Japan wins 2-1 against Sweden. Now the goal scorers might come from Kaoru, Mitoma, or Takefusa, Kubo. And for Sweden, I'd say it's highly chance of coming from Alexander Isak. My confidence in this prediction is a 7 out of 10. Not so high, not so low, but it's definitely there. Now let's move on for the Netherlands versus Tunisia. Honestly, this is the prediction I'm most confident about. The Dutch has been outstanding. Their midfield is dominating games, their attack is creating chances constantly, and their confidence is sky high after that huge victory over Sweden. Tunisia will defend though. They will fight, but I think the Netherlands simply has too much firepower. So my prediction, I have to go for the Netherlands. They win 3-0 against Tunisia. The goal scorers might come from Cody Gakpo or Brian Brobry or Xavi Simons. The rating on this is pretty high. I'm confident it's a 9 out of 10. So let's move on to Paraguay versus Australia. This is the hardest match to predict. Both teams are incredibly disciplined. Both teams are physical. Both teams understand what's at stake. I expect a very tight battle. Very few chances, lots of midfield duels. And honestly, neither team has shown enough attacking quality for me to confidently pick a winner. But defensively, I'd say Australia is a bit stronger because of their size. But who knows? The ball is round. So my prediction, I'd have to go for them a draw. 1-1. The goal scorer prediction, I'd say it might come from Miguel Almiron for Paraguay, and for Australia, Michel Duke. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing this wrong. My confidence in this prediction is a 6 out of 10. Not high. Definitely not high on this. I'm quite worried about this match. And finally, we've moved to one of the biggest games of Matchday 3. Turkey versus the United States. This has the potential to be an absolute thriller. Turkey has creativity, the United States has athleticism. Turkey has technical quality, the United States has structure and momentum. I think this game becomes the most entertaining game of the day. But ultimately, the American depth and pressing gives them a slight edge. And I don't really know what Turkey is fighting for. I guess they're playing for fun. If not, they're gonna have like a revenge arc for like one match. Who knows though? Who knows? Because they're already out of the World Cup. But my prediction, I definitely go for the USA. USA wins 2-1 against Turkey. The goal scorers might come from Arda Güler, Ricardo Pepi, or Folarin Balogun. Either one of them. My confidence rating, I'd say it's a 7.5 to 8. Either there, it's around there. So, my predicted group standings for Group D. Number 1, we have USA. Number 2, we got Turkey. Then 3, Australia. Then 4, Paraguay. For Group E, first, definitely Germany. Second, we got Ivory Coast. Third, Ecuador. And last, Curaçao. And for Group F, we've got the Netherlands. That's first. Japan, second. Third is Sweden. And last is Tunisia. But I do have to say though, for Group D, even though Turkey is out, I'm putting them there because like they had the chance to fight, but they're out of the league. But it was still memorable, I guess. Biggest upset alert, if there's one match where I think an upset could happen, it's Japan versus Sweden. Why? Because Sweden still has enough quality to punish mistakes. And Alexander Isak is exactly one of those strikers who only needs one chance. If Sweden scores first, the entire game changes. Now, the dark horse of the day, my dark horse pick is Ivory Coast. Even though they're not among the favorites to win the World Cup, they've shown enough quality to cause serious problems in the knockout rounds. They're athletic, they're physical, and they have players capable of deciding matches individually. So, match of the day for me, it's Turkey versus USA. It's going to be fun. The tactical battle, the quality of the players, the qualifications at stake. Wait, never mind. Remove the qualifications at stake. There's nothing to qualify. Everything about this fixture feels massive, but mostly because it's fun. So my final thoughts, I'd say Matchday 3 is where legends are made. Some teams will celebrate qualifications, others will see their World Cup dreams come to an end. And that's what makes this tournament so special. Every pass matters, every tackle matters, every goal matters. Let me know your predictions down in the comments down below. Which results do you disagree with me the most? Which team do you think will surprise everyone? And who do you think will eventually lift the FIFA World Cup trophy? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to don't forget to turn on notifications because I'm covering the whole 2026 FIFA World Cup. Well, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you literally tomorrow. Goodbye. But before I end this video, I do want to say that Turkey is not 100% disqualified yet from this group qualification. I'm just saying they would literally need to pull off a miracle to even pass to the third place of the squad. But it was pretty fun watching them play. So I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to lay it out right there. Okay, guys? Well, see you on the next video.